How to study salmon in practice, that's really my interest. We went to the farm and we started looking at practices, different kinds of practices. And I think that's what's interesting, because how it is that people interact with salmon or salmon interact with people is changeable, variable, and they do it in many different ways. People vaccinate salmon, at which point the salmon are quiet, anaesthetized. People fish salmon out of pens to look for lice, at which point these are giant fish writhing and jumping about. People put insecticide in the water sometimes, not very often, but sometimes, to kill parasites. So what you end up with, if you think of it in this way, is a set of different practices, different versions of what people do, and different versions of salmon. We tend to think that salmon is a single thing, but in practice, salmon is many things, and that's what interests me. This means that domestication is itself a set of different practices, endlessly variable. One of the things that interests me is the way in which domestication separates itself from the natural, how it is that domestication is about divisions and divides. So how it is that the wild salmon, for example, is kept separate from the domesticated salmon, and that itself is done in a range of different ways. I don't want to say that salmon domestication is precarious. I mean, these are in one way very robust systems. But I do think in another way, if you attend to the practices and the work that goes into the practices, you see that this is an unfolding, continuing process, and there is always some measure of uncertainty in that process. Domestication is an uncertain process, even if it's not precarious.